Hello friends. In the last tutorial we saw what is meant by input devices or sensors or node devices. We also saw what is output devices or actuator means. And we took an example of a simple OLED display and a temperature sensor. Of course, it was a temperature sensor. So now in this tutorial also we'll extend one more example to you, and in this example we'll show you different set of input and output devices. In this case we'll take input device as a touch sensor and output device as a LED bar. Remember my friends, there are many input and output devices available in the market. Based on what is required for an application and what is required for a consumer, you can choose different types of input and output devices. So in this example I'll tell you a simple application of using a touch sensor and a LED bar. So friends, the hardware requirement is pretty easy. As we explained, we require a MediaTek LinkIt board along with the groove shield. Then we need a lithium ion battery. This is for providing extra charge while programming. Then we have a touch sensor, LED bar, and two sets of groove cables. That's okay friends, so let's start hardware interfacing. As you can see that I have connected already the groove cable to touch sensor and LED bar. And now we're going to connect it to the LinkIt board. As you would have seen the ports that we're going to use for this tutorial would be a little bit different than the one which we used last time. So please, first of all, we need to understand that what type of sensors and output devices it is. So both the sensor, touch sensor and the LED bar are the digital sensors and output device respectively. So we need to connect it to the digital port of the LinkIt board, right? And the ports that we're going to choose basically are for the touch sensor we require only one port. So we're going to connect it to D2. We are going to use pin number 2 for that matter. And if you closely look at the board, you will see that for each digital groove pin there are actually two ports available. So D2 and D3 for D2. For D3 it is D3 and D4 respectively. Okay, so we are going to now connect it. So let's connect D2 to this pin, and we'll skip D3 because the LED bar requires two digital inputs. Okay, actually two digital outputs. So basically we are going to use D4 and D5, and that's the reason we are going to use D4 as the port over here. So we're going to connect this here, right? That's it. And then we will connect the battery to the LinkIt board, and then we are going to connect this to our computer for programming. So that's it. So let's go and check out the program now. Okay, so before we proceed with the programming or coding, let us try to understand our sensors and actuators a little bit more. So as we said, we are using touch sensor, groove touch sensor as a sensor. So in this case you can visit the sheet side where the touch sensor specification is given. Let's just go through it. So the operating voltage for the touch sensor is around 2.0 to 5.5 volts. So minimum is required as 2 volt DC. The operating current is very low, 3 microamperes. So in applications where the battery power, your system is run by battery power, it is actually quite useful because it draws very less current, right? The output response time is 60 to 220 milliseconds. So please understand this very carefully. It requires at least 220 milliseconds to detect the touch. So that is a touch sensitivity time, and it also specifies the chipset. Please understand that there is no specific library is required for this touch sensor. So it's a very simple sensor, and we can actually use the inbuilt Arduino functions to read the touch sensitivity. So we can use digital read function to read the whether the touch sensor has been pressed or not. So no specific library is required in this case. For the output device, which is the LED bar, right? So the LED bar is a 10 segment LED bar. So actually the LED bar consists of 10 different individual LEDs, and they can be controlled independently as well with the program. So what we will require for the LED bar to operate will be the library, and I have also put the the link to download the library in the description of this video, as well as in my blog post. So you can click on the link and download the library, and I will not explain you how to import that library. For how to do that, you can refer my previous tutorials where I've shown clearly how you can import different libraries. So I'm not going to show you that, but keeping in mind that you already know how to import them, you can import the libraries, and you can use the LED bar functionality in your Arduino code. So let's go through the specification of LED bar. So the input voltage for LED bar is 3.3 to 5 volt. So these are the minimum specifications required, and as you can see, as mentioned, LED segment can be controlled individually via code. It's an intuitive display, and it has a flexible power option. Also, the compatible libraries are available on their websites. Okay, so let's start the programming. Before we start with the programming, let's just quickly check if we have the library loaded. So as I have already imported the library for LED bar. So as you can see here, it is down, and I can simply click on that this GRU LED bar section, and I would get the include header automatically imported in my Arduino code. So I've already done that. So let's go through the code and understand it in detail. So what I'm going to use it basically the touch for the touch sensor. I'm going to use pin number 2, digital IO number 2. So that's the reason I've created a constant integer touch pin as 2. And the GRU LED bar is going to use 2 digital ports. So I'm going to use port number 5 and 4, and that's the reason on the LinkIt 1 GRU shield I'm going to use D4 as the port to connect my LED bar. So as you can see, I have LED bar defined here now, right? And in a setup, what I do is I make the pin mode. So I make the touch pin, the pin number 2 as input. So because it's a sensor, so it's an input device, and I just need to initialize first of all the LED bar. So for that I do LED bar begin. The LED bar is already defined here, so I do LED bar begin, which starts the LED bar code, and then I'm also doing serial dot begin. Actually this is optional. If you want to trace out some log values on a serial port, you can do that, but it's optional code over here, so I'm not going to explain that. And in the loop, what I'm going to do, so see, please understand that it's a pole based code. So we have to poll the touch sensors every now and then and see if there is a touch event that has happened, if somebody has touched on the touch sensor or not. So to do that, I'm not going to introduce any delay as such over here. So I'm going to run the code continuously in the loop. Okay, so what I first do is I use the function digital read, and I give the IO port number as touch pin, which is port number 2, which gives me the sensor value. Now this sensor value is going to be because it's a digital read, the sensor value is either going to be 0 or 1. So in case it is 1, which means we have or somebody is touching the touch sensor, right? So if that's the case, if sensor value is 1, then we are going to do LED bar dot set level as 10. That's it. So if why 10? So 10 means that all the 10 LEDs will actually glow. If you do not want 10 but you want 5 LEDs to glow, for example, then you can actually specify that value as 5. Alright, and then if there is no touch event happening, nobody is touching the touch sensor, then I'm going to use else code of the block of the code, and I'm going to set level as 0. So as soon as we remove the finger from the touch sensor, it has to set it back to the 0 level, which means the LED bar should actually stop glowing any of the LEDs. So I'm going to set this as 0, and that's it. That's a simple code. So now let's see, we will start programming this, as we have already seen this in the previous sections also. So I'm going to do the programming now here. So for that, you just have to connect your MediaTek LinkIt board, and as soon as you do that, you have to select the board port from the port menu and then start upload. And as you can see that now it's compiling, and in a while it will start uploading and it will finish upload. As soon as it uploads, the code will be on the microcontroller, and then we will see how it runs on the LinkIt board. So that's it. The code is uploaded now, and let's see now if it works or not. Okay, so that's how the program was, and now I'll show you how does this work after flashing the program. So there is a touch sensor here, and you can see that there is a touch area, and what is expected out of this program is that whenever I touch it, the LED bar should actually glow. Well, so let's try it. Okay, so you can see that as soon as I touch it, the LED bar glows. As soon as I remove my finger out of the touch sensor, it goes off. Simple, isn't it? That's it for today. Thank you very much, and keep watching our IoT tutorial for MediaTek LinkIt. Thank you very much, and bye bye.